The lake?
And they-
Oh, I was captain of a tugboat on Oneida.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
When was that? Do you remember the
In
year?
1937 and 38.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah, I went. Nice big boat, a nice big place up there to sleep.
Oh, wow. Right in the tug?
Yeah, it's right on the tug, yeah.
Wow.
And then when there was a storm, tell them about the storms you used to go on in.
Oh, yeah.
Rescue people. You
Yeah.
rescued people at one time?
Yeah.
On Oneida Lake?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Tell me about some experience, like, do you remember?
Well, the only thing, I took this big tug and would go and help people.
Uh-huh.
That's all.
So, how would you find out that there was a problem? Like, who would
We'd
alert
find
you?
them through the eyeglasses or up in the tower. We had a big tower up there we could look out with eyeglasses. If we thought they was in trouble, we went and helped them.
These are like on stormy days on the lake?
Oh, storm, I'll say
Yeah.
it was.
Oh, yeah. That one
Wow.
time you went out, it was terrible. Couldn't see a thing. And they had to go out and rescue somebody.
So, what you're saying is like, this is when you were living out on the farm and somebody would call and say, we got a problem on the
He
lake?
was living
Oh, no.
over on Malloy Road
We
then.
lived over there,
He got the job as the captain of, what was the name of the tug?
the National,
Oh, yeah, the
the
national.
New York
captain.
State tug it
Uh-huh.
was.
Oh, it was a New York State tugboat?
Yeah.
And he got his job through the New York State.
Oh, okay.
That was interesting. On the side, they had a place where you could get out and sleep there if you wanted to.
Now we
Wow.
could sleep out
Right on
in
the
the
pier.
tower.
So
Is
you,
it still there now?
Yeah, yeah.
The tug's still there?
Oh, no, that's gone. They took that and abolished that job
Oh.
because the boats got bigger and bigger, they didn't need help.
Oh,
Oh,
who
I
helps the
see.
people now? Fire department now?
Nobody
No
helped
one
them, they
comes
helped
there.
themselves.
really? Oh, wow.
I was just wondering how to get them.
They helped themselves,
yeah.
or wait till somebody comes along to help them.
Oh.
Wow.
But they're big now, you know.
Yeah.
They got big tugs that go up the lake now, you
Yeah.
know.
Sure, because the canal has more capacity for larger
Yeah.
boats too.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
They used to help these kind of boats and the barge canal boats.
What kind of problems would you have with a boat like these lumber boats?
Just go out and hook on them and tow them in out
Uh-huh.
of the storm.
Oh, okay.
It was a huge tug. Huge.
Oh, it's a beautiful
This
tug.
one, the National?
The national.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful tug.
Wow. What, do you remember anything about the colors of it and all that? Was it blue, like state colors?
It was gray,
Gray?
gray. That
Okay.
was a state color.
So you had a compartment that you had steering?
Yeah, up in the pilot house.
Pilot house, and
Yeah.
then you
They
had
a searchlight on there, a great big searchlight, bigger than that thing.
wow, larger, bigger than the,
Bigger
like
than that globe.
globe.
Great big searchlight.
Wow,
So you could see from here down to the Broaden Road.
wow.
It was huge.
And where was this sleeping compartment, like on the boat, in the back of it, or?
You know, I slept up in the pilot house,
Oh.
and the crew slept down all around. The
Oh, I
engineer
see.
How
and
many
everyone
crew
had
did
their
you have,
apartment.
Glenn? How many in the crew?
I had 2 deckhands and a cook and an engineer and me,
Uh-huh.
4 or 5.
And you worked all season on the
Yeah.
tug?
Yeah.
Pulling, what kind of cargo boats were you pulling with that usually? Or were you just rescue team?
Once in a while you could get a pleasure boat, but
Uh-huh.
not very often.
Was this job just rescuing people, or was it just general?
No, this was to help the canalers.
Oh, the canalers.
Really, it would help the canal. The state maintained it to help the boats on Oneida Lake, so they wouldn't get in trouble.
Did you
Oh.
do that, Glenn?
Huh?
Did you do that?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
went
I
out?
helped them.
Went out and let them?
Yeah, I helped them
Okay.
sometimes.
So you weren't really going across the state with this
Oh, no.
tugboat, just working this area?
That's
Right.
all.
On the
On
Oneida Lake?
Yeah.
Just on the Oneida Lake?
Yeah,
Okay,
they took care of themselves other times.
yeah.
Now they take care of themselves now.
That was I wish you could have seen that tug. We should have taken a
Oh.
picture of that.
You never had a picture of it, huh?
It was beautiful.
Maybe the state has some record of it, if
Maybe
it was
the
a
state has
state.
one, Glenn,
They
on the
might have.
national.
You know, I could ask,
I wonder where that is. The boat, the tug is.
yeah.
Oh, that's gone a long time
Dry
ago.
dock?
That's 50 years ago.
You think they demolished the boat?
No,
They would-
at the
they-
wartime, they took it down to New York or someplace.
Oh.
It never come back.
Oh, I see. So,
Like,
that's,
you know, the government grabbed up everything and used it for the war effort.
oh, I see. So is that when you left the canal business then, during the war? Like, I mean, you
I
started?
never went back.
Yeah,
The last time I worked was 1938.
oh, okay,
I took a motor ship to New York City.
uh-huh.
That's the last I ever worked at.
Oh, I see. So you really stopped working before the war began
Yeah,
even?
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Yeah, right.
Wow. So that, you worked on that tug 1937 and 38, you
Yeah.
said, right?
Yeah.
So before 1937, what were you doing?
Working at carpentry work.
Oh, carpentry.
We used to go boating. We boated 2 years, 34 and 35 in the salt business. But before that and after that, Frank Doran used to be a runner.
Doran?
He's a boss.
Frank Doran?
And Carol run a grocery store. He was a boss for some other company. Whenever they need a man, we used to go down there when we didn't have nothing to do.
Where was that now? Where was that located?
Baldwinsville.
Oh, Baldwinsville. A store, you said?
Yeah, he run a store, but he was an agent for these companies. And once in a while, they'd have a sick man or something, and we go down and fill in. We could have had a city job, but we didn't. We worked at carpenter work then.
Okay, that store in Baldwinsville was like a grocery store or what?
Yeah, it was a grocery store at that time.
And it's-
I suppose that's gone now too.
Was that for people who worked on the canal, like they would stop at the store?
Yeah, they stopped in the store in there. And Frank Doran was a canaler. His name was Levi
Oh.
Head Boats, and he worked for the company. He had a room there. He lived in Baldwinsville
Mm-hmm.
during the canal season.
Oh, I see. Okay.
He was a boss for all the companies down.
Oh. Okay, you remember some of the dry docks too, like this one here in Chittenango?
What's right down you want to know about? They had
Yeah.
one in Monza, they had one in Rochester,
Uh-huh.
named Connolly. And they had one in Monzoni. And they had one in Fort Byron. And they had one in Little Falls.
Mhm.
And they had one in Rochester.
Wow. And did your father or you ever have to use them for anything?
Oh, I guess we did. The old
Yeah.
man went out there one time and spent $1,700 to get the boats fixed.
Really? In one time?
At
17?
one time, they had to cork them. You know, you put them on the dry dock.
Right.
You can't cork the bottom of the boat unless you got them on the dry dock. The sides you can.
Right.
But he had the bottom all corked in the sides.
In other words, there was some kind of a hole in the bottom of the boat. that you
It
had-
seems, you know, the cork.
Right.
And did you know they used to cork the aqueducts too?
Oh,
They used to have to cork them.
uh-huh. Did your
But you
fa-
see, then, in 1950, I think, we bought gasoline pumps.
Mhm.
Then you didn't have to go on. But you had to pump these boats by hand. You had a job.
1915?
Yeah. And we bought an engine down here from Barber Brothers and a Gould pump from Seneca Falls.
Oh, yeah.
So we had a gasoline
And we were
Barber
on
made them,
remember
Myers.
remember that one place the boat was sinking?
Yeah,
We
Myers
were
is
on, the
one.
boat was sinking, and my father says the boat's sinking, so my mother and I tried to get all the clothes together to get off the boat. And what'd you do, cork at that time, or how'd you stop?
No. When a boat gets loaded, after a while, if you keep the water on, they'll take up. You know, they expand and take up. That's what this time, they didn't leak any.
It started to leak, remember? The
Yeah.
boat was leaking.
When
and
it's
we
leaking,
started-
well, you hit a load of salt.
This is your own boat? That
No,
was
no.
This was the
The
boat,
company
the salt.
boat.
Oh, the company boat.
We were on the dock, weren't we? Weren't we right on the dock?
Yeah, we were right to the
tied
dock
up.
loading.
Okay, we were tied up, and all of a sudden you came in and said the boat's sinking. Remember that time?
Yeah,
I'll never
yeah.
forget that.
Oh,
We had to get
wow.
off the boat.
Oh,
But I had the gasoline pump run, the gasoline pump took care of it. I didn't think it was going up.
so in other
How
words,
did you fix the leak then?
We didn't fix it, leak. That's like I tell you, water swells it up, wood.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
So,
It was swelling it up all right, it was freaking.
So what happened in that time then? The boat actually sunk then?
No,
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 he
no, I
got it out, got the
Oh.
joke out.
it gained out of the water, finally I had it pumped out. That's all
Wow.
there was of it.
And you did that yourself? You did the pump work?
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
run the pump, yeah.
Wow.
It was a gasoline pump, I didn't do it by hand,
It's a good thing you had that pump.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I said, when you had the gasoline pump,
Yeah.
you didn't have to worry. But when you had to pump them by hand is when you worry. Oh, then you know how on the boats, how on these boats, how they had the hand pump to work? They had a hand pump that was made out of tin. They
Mhm.
had a big, great big head that went up and down like that
Mhm.
to suck the water up.
Oh.
There's a foot valve and all that opens up, takes the water up. But when you were standing still, they used to have a piece of wood or a limb of a tree to it, and that would go up and down, help you go up and down. All you had to do was shove it down, and the limb of the tree would bring it up.
Oh.
But when you was going along, like here with a load, you put a weight on the handle, and it would go down, and then there's steers when they're steering this boat. That's my old man steering.
Mhm.
They had a line run from the pump thing with a pulley over the top of this lumber. You pull up on that and let it down, and this weight would put the handle down, then pull up, and it would, that's the way you pumped them.
Oh, wow.
Because you didn't have room to pump them on a lumber boat. You ain't got no room here to walk or nothing, you know. You gotta go over the top.
So this was during the days of the old canal, not the barge, right?
In the
Yeah.
barge, they all got gasoline.
Right.
They're all modern now.
Did your father have any of his own tools on the boat for these things? Or?
Oh yeah, he had his corking tools and
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
else there.
Wow.
They was always doing something. Painting and puttying and
Yeah.
doing something.
Yeah, I wondered about the boats. Like, did you paint the boats every so? How often
I
did you?
painted them right all the while.
Really? How often did you have to repaint a boat? Like, how many? How often?
I'd say they would paint them all the while.
You mean every year you'd have to paint it?
They keep painting. They paint as much as they could when they were loading and unloading, and then next time they'd start in. They had paint on them already. You could see the paint's pretty good on them.
Yeah.
See where it
Yeah.
says Charlie and Floyd. You see Erie M. Rose Builder?
Uh huh. Okay. Yeah, you're
Caughdenoy?
right. Yeah. Okay.
Erie M. Rose Builder in town.
R-A-M?
Erie M. Rose. He had a shipyard there. He built these
Rose?
Rose, R-O-S-E.
And who's this person now? Rose?
Yeah, Erie M. Rose was builder.
Oh, he's the shipbuilder, the boat builder.
He built these
Oh, I
boats.
see.
Where did he have it Cottonwoy to build the boats? I never saw any station there. Is
No,
it by
no,
the
they
creek?
put Caughdenoy out Caughdenoy. The Charlie and Floyd out Caughdenoy.
Yeah, but
The
where-
guy named Lou of Caughdenoy.
Where'd they build the boats in Cottonwoy?
They
Where?
didn't build any in Caughdenoy.
There were places along the canal where they did build.
They built them in Chittenango.
Chit-
They
and-
built them
They
to
built-
all dry docks.
Durhamville had a boat building
Durhamville,
area. Do you know where exactly these were built?
These were built in Tonawanda.
Tonawanda.
Yeah.
Okay,
Erie
Yeah.
M. Rose builder. Says builder Erie M. Rose.
right.
This here second boat is named after my mother's cousin,
The Floyd,
Charlie and Floyd Campbell.
Campbell?
They're cousins of my mother.
Campbell, okay. All right, and the other boat was your family name, right?
Yeah.
Okay, Van Loo.
Jude Campbell married my grandfather's niece. You see, my grandfather had one sister. She married a man named Judd Easton. He was a boatman.
Easton?
Yeah, Eastman.
Oh, Eastman.
She was 5 years older than he was.
Mhm.
So she married Judd Easton, and he died. So that was all there was of it.
Okay, so actually all these families have
I tell you, everybody called I was married to somebody.
Yeah, you
through
mentioned
blood
that before.
or relation.
Yeah. Wow.
Through blood or marriage, pretty near. Pretty near all of them. Of course, they're all gone now, moved out. 1914 was the beginning of the inflation, they all moved out.
Right. Yeah. Do you remember the lock tender houses too on the old canal?
Yeah.
Yeah. What were they like? Did you ever see the inside of one of those?
I never went
I
inside
did.
of them in my
I
life.
did the barge canal.
On the barge, yeah.
Yeah, we used to go across the, what place did we used to go that barge,
Down to Cayuga Lock 1.
yeah, and we used to go in there and But we were tied up there quite a while, weren't we?
lose the telephone.
And we were tied up there a long
But
time.
in the old canal lot, I remember seeing it, but I never went in them.
Now, when your boat was getting close to one of the locks in the old canal, how did the lock tender know you were ready to,
Hurrah lock! Hurrah lock!
you just
The
yelled?
the driver hollered, hurrah lock! Hurrah lock! Same way with the bridges.
Hurrah?
What was
Like?
the name?
Just holler, that's all that.
Yeah?
Hurrah lock! Hurrah lock!
Hurrah.
Hurrah.
Yeah, hurrah, yeah.
They didn't have horns like they blew?
They had horns, but they never used, this canal, they blow for it, three blasts,
But
but
this
not
man's
there.
probably always watching too.
Yeah, that's true,
Don't you
yeah.
think if they
They
were
could
there-
hear you. You was right out in the country, nobody could hear you.
Well, I'm wondering about at nighttime though.
Nighttime and all was the same way.
They might be napping, you never know, right?
Well, there was always two of them there.
Oh, yeah?
I never seen them
Oh.
when they didn't have the lock ready.
That's what I was gonna ask you. When you were working in the old canal with your father, did you go day and night?
Night and day. Oh, if
Huh?
it didn't go night and day, you wouldn't make any money.
So in other words, you, somebody had to sleep, like say your father had to take a nap, who then
Well, you had another steersman.
Okay, so,
See, you had to hire a steersman. You
Yeah.
had to be very qualified to be a steersman on the old canal. There was no buoys or nothing.
mhm,
Well, they do the canal like you know the inside of your hand.
really?
Night and day, didn't make no difference.
So in other words, your father was like the captain of the boat.
Now, he steered the trick.
He steered it, but he also had a professional steersman.
That took the other trick.
And you helped with the driving of the mules
Yeah.
and,
But I only just done that in vacation time.
mhm. What about things like they had to be done, like cleaning clothes and stuff? Did you have a place to hang them out to dry and,
You couldn't, well, that's another good thing there. You see, with this load of lumber, you couldn't do no washing.
that's what I was wondering. What?
You had to wait till it was light. You had a ladder,
Ah.
you put down in the midship, and you build all the water out of the canal and put it down in there, and then they dried them down there.
Oh, I see. So when you were taking a load of lumber, you couldn't hang them outside, so you had to do what now?
Well, all you could do was lay them on top of the lumber
Oh,
board.
okay.
You could lay them out to dry,
Uh.
but they didn't. They had enough clothes, so they waited till they were light coming back, then they washed.
Uh-huh.
Oh, my old man used to be in such a hurry, my grandfather, that they wouldn't even tie up to change mules.
Oh,
They'd
really?
change them on a fly. Keep moving the horse bridge along, and one mule would jump
Wow.
up in there, move the other one along in a square dock.
Wow.
You wouldn't believe it could be done, but they could do it.
I wonder if he was one of the fastest
Yeah,
boaters
I
on the
think he
canal.
was. And the old man was the same way.
Yeah.
My grandfather on my mother's side
Uh-huh.
was the same way. They wouldn't even take time to tie up.
But the only thing I wondered though, like did he manage to time it so that he'd be back to Cottonwood before the season ended? Or did he ever get stuck somewhere?
Oh,
because
no.
No?
Oh, no.
No?
They would never get stuck. Don't worry about that.
Okay, because some of them were, like they had to
Oh.
stop wherever they were when the first winter storms came, and they were stuck there for the winter, wherever it
Yeah.
was along the
Well, they
canal.
did on this barge canal. But on this Erie, these fellows was always home.
So they managed to get their last load to
Oh,
Albany
yeah.
and back home.
They
Yeah.
were workers.
Yeah.
And no fooling around.
And then you see my uncle Moshe, my uncle Orla,
Yeah.
used to take these boats, these mules to Caughdenoy, from State Bridge around the lake, over around Verona through Silver Beach
Mhm.
into Caughdenoy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I spoke with a lady a while back who lived in that area around Verona. She talked about the cheese factories out there in that area and lumber yards and stuff like that. Yeah, yeah. And Durhamville had some
Oh, they had a dry dock. in
dry dock.
boats.
Yeah, they built boats there. Yeah.
And where did the boats stay in the winter, Glenn? Where did you
These
dock the
boats,
boats
they
in
stayed
the
right in the
winter?
bottom of the canal. They
Where?
drawn the water out of the canal.
Whereabouts?
All over.
Oh,
I mean, what boat, where did these two boats stay?
State Bridge. We always stayed the
State Bridge.
Where?
right down here.
I think
Oh.
that's,
Right down
over,
below Verona.
yeah, I know where that is.
And then Orly took
Jonesville
the-
and Hickinsville.
and
It's,
Orly took
yeah,
the mules to Cottonwood, as you said, around the lake.
Yeah, you went right around the North Bay and that way to Caughdenoy, Central Square that way.
well, that's the question then, if the boats were staying over State Bridge, but you kept the mules in Cottonwood, how did the mules get from the State Bridge to Cottonwood? They just
That-
walked
My
up?
Uncle Orla
Orla
drove
took
them
them.
there.
Oh, he drove them
Drove
there?
them,
He
yeah.
drove them
Oh, I
there.
see,
When the
okay.
canal closed, he drove them there.
Ah, okay. So he just used the local roads, basically,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
It must have taken
Hooked
quite a
them,
while.
hooked the mules all together, the 6 of them.
yeah,
Some of them he'd ride, sometimes he'd ride in a buggy. Put
uh-huh.
one of them on the buggy and put the rest of them back in the buggy. All depends on how he felt.
How long did that take? Couple
Must have
days?
took 6 or 8 hours.
Wow,
Oh,
They was used to
A day.
walking.
Really?
That didn't bother them. Anybody could walk 24 miles a day, it didn't bother
no, they
them.
probably liked it.
What do you think of that?
wow, 24 miles a day?
That's what it was, 12 miles each trip they'd make, 2 miles an hour.
So when you were
Huh.
doing a shift of, with the mules, driving the mules, during, how many hours were you out there for? 6?
6 hours.
But how many how many miles was it?
When you were loaded, you made 7 miles.
7
And when you was
miles?
light, coming back, any light motor going down,
Yeah.
you made 12 miles.
You must have had sore feet after a while,
No,
huh?
I never had, I never had sore feet.
Do you remember what kind of shoes you would, were there special shoes you had to wear for
No.
these trips? No?
Just ordinary shoes.
Ordinary shoes, huh?
That ain't very fast, you know,
Uh-huh.
6 miles in 12 hours, but it counts up on you, though.
Did you ever have a mule, like the mule on the inside ever slip and fall in the canal ever?
Oh, no, that's just what I was telling you about.
Oh.
My father always hired farmer kids. The
Mhm.
farmers knew how to take care of these
Mhm.
mules.
Mhm.
You know, a lot of these mule drivers used to be kicked. A lot of them got hurt,
Oh.
you know.
Really?
But these farm boys, they were used to animals. They didn't get back to the mules.
Ah.
And if the mule started to spook, they'd unhook the tow line and go around and take him in the head.
Uh-huh.
Then they'd quiet the mules down.
What do you mean, take them in the head? Hold the head like this, Glenn?
No, just hold on the bridle.
Oh, the
I see.
bridle.
Oh, the bridle.
They all had the blinders on them.
Yeah,
Uh,
okay.
Like that,
Yeah.
on the bridle. These boys would take them. But the original, the professionals wouldn't do that. They let the mules go in the canal. I don't think they knew any better, or else they were scared of them.
How'd they get them out?
They drowned in most of them,
I would imagine with the 3 hooked up, they would all drown.
yeah.
But you never lost any
Oh,
mules?
they got them out sometimes.
Sometimes,
Did you ever lose any mules?
No,
no?
but my father or my grandfather never lost them.
That's because they had the farm kids that knew how to handle them.
It's good.
Well, probably.
Yeah.
It's
That
all
makes,
experience.
sure, that makes sense. They
Yeah.
knew what they were doing, they know how to handle
Right.
animals.
And
Yeah.
the mules liked them.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Now, you were saying like when the weather was raining, you didn't have any kind of headgear or anything to cover yourself, or?
Yeah, they threw it off the boat to you. Your rain slicker. you
Oh.
can't- you move.
What
Well, so
about
you
the
did-
mules? Did you cover them?
No, they just threw them off to you and you put them
The,
on.
the
Well,
mules,
didn't get
Mules
them
didn't
covered.
have nothing.
they didn't mind, they
They
got
didn't
used.
need nothing.
They didn't need anything.
What about very hot summer days, was any
Throw
problem?
water on them. once in a
Oh,
while.
once in a while you just.
Take a pail of water and throw on them.
How about yourself, though, when you were walking?
You could throw it on yourself. if you
Yeah, I
want.
would imagine you
Some
might.
of the drivers used to jump in the canal.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
I never did.
Really?
I used to have a straw hat, didn't bother me. My old man didn't bother them.
Yeah.
But some of the drivers used to jump in the canal, and if they wanted water, they used to drink the canal water.
I don't
I
know.
would-
It was clear then.
But did you know in Syracuse, before they had Skinny Atlas water and well water, they used to use the canal
They did?
water between
It was
Deer
clean.
Block and
I didn't
Lake.
realize it
No
was that
pollution.
clean.
But,
No
well, it
pollution.
was them days, there was nobody here, only a village.
Yeah. Nobody to throw anything in to pollute it.
Well,
No
there was
manufacturers
nothing
or
in it.
anybody.
What years are we talking about now?
Oh, you're talking about 1900 before that,
Oh, yes.
before they got
years
Skinny
ago.
Atlas water down there.
The Erie Canal we're talking about?
They tell me
Oh,
they
yeah.
used to drink the Erie Canal water.
Yeah, because nothing was put to pollute it.
There
No
was nothing to make it.
manufacturing,
But I
no
thought,
plastic.
I had read that people used to throw their refuse into the
Yeah,
canal.
after that, when,
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah, when they got when we got more populated like now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it was against the law back then to throw things
I
in
don't
the
think they
canal.
threw anything.
I
Yeah.
don't think so.
The Mules always drank the canal water.
There weren't
The
that many
driving-
people, you know.
Yeah,
And I think they took better care of what they had. Well,
yeah.
I don't think they had enough food or stuff to throw away.
That's what I think too.
It was hard times and they had to eat what they had.
Yeah.
And
that's
so
true.
no, I don't think they ever had any leftovers. in
I don't
those
think
days.
they did either. But
Yeah,
maybe they did.
true, and you didn't have the plastic containers like you have now, or the cans and stuff.
You had to eat it up, whatever
Right.
you had.
Yeah,
Right, yeah, we didn't have refrigerators,
Right.
remember, no refrigerators.
Well,
It was
we had
ice.
to use ice when we lived here. They didn't have refrigerators.
Yeah, that's,
They didn't start to come around too much in the housing.
another question I had to ask you was too, did you ever have any problems with other boaters, like, trying to speed ahead of you to get through a lock before you, or, no?
Now, that was a mirth. They used to say on the old canal, they used to fight.
Yeah,
But the canalers wasn't anxious to fight as that. See, when you fight, you get bruised up, you know.
right, yeah.
right?
No,
But you hear stories about
I
that.
know,
Yeah.
that's more of a mirth than anything
A
else.
myth,
Did
yeah?
you ever encounter anybody like that?
No, I never heard of anything.
No?
You
These
never
guys,
met
it was
anybody?
all in my day, I don't know what there
But-
was before that, but in my day, they was all anxious to make money. That's all they talked about, get speed,
Yeah.
speed, just like they do now.
Yeah.
If anybody was behind your father or grandfather?
Well, they had to wait their turn.
They
Then-
couldn't go any faster than your father or grandfather.
Well, unless you had a leaky boat or
Yeah.
got sick or
Oh,
something.
oh,
Because I would imagine if there's a line of boats waiting to go through a lock,
They had to wait.
some of them might get a little angry because they're wasting time, and they can't make money wasting time.
oh, I don't know.
Yeah,
That was more of a mirth. That
Oh.
was more of a story.
uh-huh,
Them old timers wasn't anxious to fight, but they could fight.
uh-huh.
But they wasn't anxious to fight, because they had
Yeah.
bruised up their hands and everything, and they had to use them to work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they would all get hurt, and
Yeah.
none of them could use their hands then, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well,
Didn't they know each other too?
What's that?
Did they know each other? Did
Oh,
they know the
yeah.
canalers?
Oh, yeah, they knew the great boatmen. I knew them all.
Then
I
they
knew
were
all
friends.
of the old steamboat. Oh, yeah.
you know some of the captains and stuff?
Yeah, oh, I knew them all.
Yeah.
They were friends then. Then they certainly wouldn't want to push each other
And
aside.
during World War I, a lot of these steamboat captains and steamboatmen like down on the Hudson River were all officers in the Navy.
Oh. So you mean they went into
They
the
were
war?
engineers, see? Every one of these canalers, they had a steamboat, they always had nephews and all that that knew all about it. They'd be
Oh.
with the uncle and all of them. They were all engineers and all pilots.
Oh, I see. Did you work right through the First World War then?
Yeah,
Yeah?
yeah, we worked up to Rochester, putting a stone in around on the canal,
On the new barge
on the
canal?
barge.
On that, oh, I know, down by that, Irondequoit, what do they call it, embankment there?
Well, we took the stone that
Right,
they took out of the cut. They took a cut up through Rochester.
right.
For about 4 or 5 miles from Genesee River to Greece.
Ah,
And all that stone was piled up there. We cut that stone all up and put it on barges, put it down along the canal.
Yeah.
Down from Bushnell's Basin, down
Yeah.
below Fairport.
yeah.
Way down to Wayneport, a place they call Wayneport.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that place, yeah.
Now you know where it is.
Right. You
Down near Macedon.
Yeah. Do you remember the Lockport locks too?
Yeah.
The five?
5 locks there.
That must have been quite an experience going through
Yeah.
those, huh?
Yeah, going down, I don't remember too much. That's a long time ago
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
I remember going down.
yeah,
They used to flush them down.
uh-huh,
And, but then on the other side, the mules had to tow them up. They had to hire other mules and horses to do
Uh-huh.
it. Same way in the 16th, they had to hire other people.
all down in
And
Caughdenoy.
Little Falls they did too.
Oh, Little Falls.
There was 2 locks to Little Falls.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Where was the best scenery along the canal? Do you remember? I mean, maybe you never paid attention to the scenery, but you're,
I'd say the upper long level was the best, from Rochester to Lockport.
Really?
I'd say that was the best.
Of course, you're not talking about the Mohawk now, right? You're
Well, the
talking.
Mohawk Valley was
Yeah,
nice
yeah.
too.
Hudson River was pretty. I
Yeah.
looked over one time and saw West Point. My
Yeah,
father
that's
says,
the
there's
Hudson.
West Point in the distance. Boy, it's beautiful down there.
Well, I guess all water's nice
Yeah.
in the summertime.
So you did some trips to New York then from Albany. I thought
This was the
you
barge canal.
on the barge.
Barge. This is when he was on the barge canal.
Oh, so when you started working in the barge canal, you did trips down the
My mother and I
Hudson?
went with him.
Yeah, we
I
boated,
went summer
we boated
vacation.
salt to New York for 2
Oh,
years.
okay. That was back in the 1930s?
1934 and
Right
35.
around the Statue of Liberty. Saw
Okay.
that, and West Point, and
We
all
used to
the
go up
huge
the Passaic, up the
buildings.
Passaic River.
Oh, Passaic, yeah.
And,
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Remember we
Wow.
tied up at Brooklyn, Glen?
Yeah,
We were
That's-
there a long time.
that's
Uh-huh.
Gowanus Bay in Brooklyn we stopped. And Pier 5 and 6 belonged to us. Then we had one up, up the East River someplace. I never was to that one. Then we had one up on the North River,
Mhm.
a terminal that belonged to New York State.
Oh, I see.
We had 4 terminals,
Uh-huh.
or 3 terminals. But most of the other we went to Gowanus Bay over in Brooklyn.
Gowanus Bay?
Gowanus. That's where the grain elevator is.
Oh, I
That's
see.
where they unloaded. We used to lay there all the while.
Uh-huh. Do you remember where these two boats, the Charlie Floyd and the other one, were finally disbanded? Like, I mean, when
Well, the old man sold one, and it become a dock up in Palmyra, and I think the other went to the Whitewater over in Fayetteville.
and they just sunk it there and.
So they just rode them up there and let them go.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, I know they did sink some of the boats in one or two of the Finger Lakes. Some of the old
Well,
canal boats.
a lot of them in the Finger Lake, when they used to boat coal
Mhm.
out up there, there was a canal up there, you know, that run from Pennsylvania up there. A lot of them got sunk on Seneca Lake when the
That's-
storm come up.
That's the one, right?
A lot
Yeah.
of them.
Yeah.
They used to boat coal on there. I never done that.
Yeah.
But my wife was in the hospital a short time ago with one. That's where that woman was said that they boated from.
Oh, I remember that.
What was her name? Washburn.
Washburn?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So her family was involved in the boating too.
Yeah, they boated coal off of Seneca Lake.
That was a coincidence that we met
She
him.
lived down in Pettiville.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was something.
Hmm.
And then you know, there was another canal that run from Utica, but that was abandoned years ago. The Shenango,
Right. I
that
know
run
about.
from Utica to Binghamton.
You never were on that
Oh,
one
no,
yourself?
nobody in our time.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they even knew about it.
Really? You must have, when you were on the Erie going through Utica, seen the canal coming
Well,
into the.
I don't remember,
No?
but a man told me that
Yeah.
was an old boatman.
Right.
In fact, the man learned me how to swim
Oh.
in the lumber yards down in Albany.
Ah. Okay. So you swam in the canal too from time to time, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he told me about the Shenango Canal.
Uh-huh.
And then there was another canal, the Genesee Canal,
Right.
that runs from Olean to Rochester.
Right, I heard
But
of
that's a
that.
long time before my time.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe it, would you? I
Well-
don't see how the hell they got through that stone. They must have went up above that and then come in.
Oh, you
Up
mean,
above Greece. You know, they had a rock cut there.
Right.
In Rochester for
Yeah.
about 5 miles or so.
I think the Genesee Canal was built just parallel to the river, right along the west side of the river.
Oh,
All right,
yeah.
going south from the Rochester going south. So I think they avoided any problems that way,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, they was out of the rock cut.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and they must have come in around from Greece into
Yeah.
into the but one thing I was about, was they 2 locks in Rochester or one wasn't they?
In which canal now?
The Erie, the old
Erie?
There was only one lock. You went across the aqueduct and then up, and you locked up, and then you locked down.
Well, on west of the river,
Yeah.
of the Genesee, there was at least one lock.
There was just
And,
one lock.
and on the east of the river, there are about 3 or so in Rochester.
Yeah.
In fact, one of them is still very visible, one of the old locks.
Yeah,
I think it's lock 62, if I'm not mistaken. It's behind the old Spring House restaurant there,
yeah.
the famous restaurant.
My mother went, excuse me.
Okay.
She rings,
But,
she rings the bell when she went.
But in Rochester, I remember Cottonwood, a man named Cottonwood, run the dry dock there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the only lock I remember
Ah, okay.
there.
That was where now? Rochester?
Yeah, right. We went across the Erie Canal,
Okay.
up about 5 miles or so, and we locked it down in his lock. Locked down, took it down to Bushell's Base,
Okay.
or down to Pittsburgh.
Could it be Brighton? Maybe?
Yeah, Brighton, that's it.
All
Brighton
right.
lock, that's
Brighton
it.
lock,
That's
yeah?
right,
So that one you remember
Yeah.
there, huh?
yeah.
That's interesting, yeah.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, I'll
too.
say, 'cause all that is gone now.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
all gone.
But they still have parts of the old Erie Canal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They made a subway out of it, somebody said.
That's true. You're right.
But I never was in it.
Yeah, and also the aqueduct that crossed the river used part
Yeah,
of
I
that.
remember
Yeah.
that. And then, down by Lock 8, there's a Erie Canal lock right alongside of Lock 8 now.
Over by
Scotia,
the,
right alongside of it.
by Schenectady area?
Yeah, by Schenectady, you
Yeah.
call it Schenectady, but
Yeah.
I call it Scotia.
Scotia, yeah,
Right
right.
there. But there's a lock right alongside of that.
Yeah.
If you just go up over, there's a lock right there, Old Erie Canal lock,
You'll see a lot of that across the state.
yeah.
Some of the old Erie Canal remains.
And up there in Nassau, then there was 2 or 3 locks that locked down.
Right, yeah. Do you have any other things that your father or grandfather kept besides the picture?
They never kept them. The
No?
old man just kept a copy of a lot of things. I
Yeah.
tried to get the cousin to give it to me, but I don't
Uh-huh.
think he's going on.
Uh-huh.
No, they wouldn't have had this if it hadn't been for me.
You have do you know a man named Garrity out in the Buffalo
Oh, I
area?
know him from a kid. I know when he was a kid. He
Really?
wrote that book.
Oh, you got
Yeah,
the book?
they bought it out of the same place we did,
Yeah?
Granville.
So you know him, huh?
Yeah, I ain't seen him in 70 years.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, I know him.
Yeah.
I'm 87 years old.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
And my father lived to be 87.
Uh-huh. So, that's interesting, yeah. So you knew a lot of the boaters and,
I know all of them. I know all of them that owned the steamboats.
wow.
Joe Ott owned the Columbia. There was the Red Jacket, the
Joe-
Tuscarora.
Joe Otts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Joe Ott owned the Columbia. Danny Kill owned the Henniker out of Lockport.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's pretty interesting.
And then named the Massasauga, the steamboat, the Massasauga, Barney Bird owned her.
Barney
Bird,
Bird
yeah.
or Burns?
Bird, B-I-R-D.
B-I-R-D, okay.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good memory, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm getting you tired out.
Now,
Maybe.
you ain't getting me tired.
Huh? No?
Take your time.
Okay. No, there's not much time left to the tape anyways, and if we need to, we can always
You can
get
come
together
back.
again.
Maybe I
Yeah.
won't be emotional next time, but
Oh, that's let me stop this now. Okay. So, if there's anything else you can remember or think about telling me that we haven't talked about yet, just feel free to mention it. You see, about different kind of cargoes. We talked about everything already, the lumber, the salt,
yeah.
any particular workers that your father had that were any problems for you?
Not to my
Anybody
knowledge.
get in trouble? Or?
Oh, I don't
No?
know. But, I don't ever remember having any
Mhm.
trouble. I guess they all had to work too hard to make any trouble.
Yeah. So you got your schooling during the winter, you said, right?
Yeah. There was Ollie Ray and his old man. They always used to have Clydesdale horses. That's
Oh,
the first time I seen a Clydesdale with that fancy stuff on
yeah.
around on their ankles.
They actually pull the boats?
Yeah, great big. Boy, they were powerful horses. I'll tell you.
Wow. What did they?
Beautiful horses.
What colors were?
Clydesdale, just
Yeah.
like just like the Anheuser-Busch.
Oh, yeah, right. Wow. That must have been quite a sight to see on the canal, huh?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's interesting.
Oh, some of them used to take good care of their stock like that. Horses wasn't as tough as mules.
So did most,
They found that out going west, that mules and oxen was the toughest.
did you notice whether more people had mules or horses?
They all, more had mules.
More had mules?
Oh, yeah.
Were they more expensive though to take care of than horses, or?
No, I think the mules was more like a cat, they could climb around.
Yeah, okay.
More, let's put it this way, more sure-footed.
Maybe the horses were more stubborn too. I don't know.
No, I don't think that.
No?
I think that they was more, they could get spooked easier.
Oh, of course they always, the old saying is that the mules are stubborn. You know how they say stubborn as a mule? But you didn't have that problem,
No.
huh? Of course you said you had.
I think mules was pretty good.
Oh, yeah, because you said you had the farm boys helping out too.
Well,
Yeah.
that was their idea.
Yeah.
They wanted somebody, the mules liked the farm boy, and they liked the mules there.
What did you actually do when you were pulling when you were the driver, as they say, you know, with the mules? What did you actually, were you holding on to
No,
something?
no, just have a line. Like
A line, yeah.
Just walk back of them. If you don't walk back of them, they wouldn't work.
You had to be in back of them.
Yeah, if they wouldn't work, they'd slow down.
You mean you weren't in front of the mules?
No,
as
you was back of them. If you wasn't back of them, they knew you wasn't there, they'd slow down.
Oh.
They were smart, you know. You had to be right there with them and keep them going.
Well, how did you keep them going? What did you do?
You didn't have to, long as you was walking there, they
Oh, I
knew that
see.
you would keep them going.
Oh, that's interesting.
What do you know about that?
Yeah, that's interesting. They sort of knew, even though they had these blinders on, they still kind of knew you
Yeah,
were
they had
around.
blinders on them.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah, probably one thing would be very interesting. Probably you never knew about it. Did you know that they get galled?
They what?
They get sores on their chest.
Oh,
And they had to buy the padding and cut holes in the padding where these galls were.
uh-huh.
And so the veterinarian, they always told them what to do. So they took salt
Uh-huh.
and butter and kerosene and made a salve and wash them off when they come in on their trick. They put the salve on them.
Oh, I see.
If they were too bad, you had to leave them in a couple of days till they healed up.
Oh, I see.
They do that, the stuff works. The tow lines, they work the collars,
Mm-hmm.
they claim.
So they
That's what the
got,
veterinarian claims.
so they got sores from this.
Yeah, sores from it.
We're almost.
They call them
Oh,
galls.
that's perfectly all right, very interesting. Did all the mules ever, did they each
Some of them
get
never
a...
had nothing of trouble with them.
Nothing?
Just some of them called it, but not all of them. What do you think of that?
Wow, that's interesting.
Is
Yeah.
it-
Yeah.
Like men, some get sick and some don't.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Did they, when they got these sores, did they actually show that they were in pain somehow? Did you
No,
know that
no
they were?
pain.
No pain? No?
But they seem to be.
When
Yeah.
they got sick, what medicine did they give them?
They give them salt and butter and kerosene. That's what the veterinary used.
How did they mix that?
Just mix it up together, salt, butter, and kerosene.
Kerosene?
And bake it into a salve and dab it on.
No, I mean, what they take when they were sick.
No, they
I mean,
never got
for when
sick,
they
to my
suck.
knowledge. Only time we had one mule got down to belly ache.
What'd they do then?
So, the veterinarian come down to Utica. So, he said, I'll get him up. You know what he took? Ginger. A quart bottle of ginger. Put water and ginger into it and made that mule drink it. In 5 minutes, that mule got up.
Huh.
And then he looked at the mule's teeth, and he had a thing that, he said these spots that comes down on the mule, and it sticks down. So he can't chew his food.
Uh-huh.
So he takes this file, files them, the mule never got sick again.
We had
Whoa.
tartar on the teeth.
No, it was stuck cut down, so when he chewed his food, It didn't chew all the way across.
Uh-huh.
This would chew there, you know, and the stuff was laid here on that chew.
Yeah,
So he ground that off,
yeah.
and I never got sick again.
Wow, that's interesting, yeah. That's really
That's the
interesting.
only time I ever knew our mules ever got sick.
Huh. These were your own mules too?
Now,
You-
the only thing I ever knew they got sick of was working.
Yeah, like people, right?
Now, they probably
Yeah.
enjoyed it though.
Yeah, sure, they're outdoors all the
Well,
time.
they fed them good.
Yeah.
They were fat and nice. They got used good.
Your father bought these mules or raised them from,
Oh, no, he bought them.
bought
There's
them?
the guys along the canal just had them and sold them.
How, do you remember how much they might have cost back then, or
Oh, they cost different prices, from 500 up.
were horses more or less,
Well,
you don't know?
the canalers didn't go for horses. Some
Yeah,
did,
yeah.
but not very many.
Is
Yeah.
it because they were more high-strung, or they got
High
tired
strung
faster?
got in trouble.
The horses, you mean, right?
They go always like
Oh,
this, you know,
yeah.
anything
Mules
with
is
side up.
kind of docile, you know.
Yeah,
The horse, you know,
But they got spooked
race
too.
horses, how they go like that.
yeah, that's what I wondered, like sometimes
Uh-huh.
you might see an animal or a muskrat run across the towpath, and did that scare the animals or anything?
I don't know,
Yeah.
it took a lot to spook them mules, but when they did, these canal boys just pulled the lever,
Yeah,
the tow line went down and run around in front, and grabbed them, grabbed the bridle and
yeah,
just talk to them.
yeah.
Then a few minutes they was all right, then they put the line back on the way they
They
went.
probably said, it's all
A
right.
fire,
Something
something unexpected.
Yeah, yeah. You ever have a fire on your boat at all? I mean,
Can't have much fire with all that water there.
that's true.
Like
Yeah,
somebody was
yeah.
always-
Somebody was always up to
Yeah,
it.
that's true. You had enough water around you to put
And
it
they
in.
didn't have cigarettes in those days.
I don't ever,
No,
never had
nothing,
a
nothing like
fire.
that, yeah.
Don, did they smoke in those days?
Yes, they smoked.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that could
They
have,
smoked right
Sure.
along that lumber.
Yeah,
oh, that lumber, they still smoke?
They smoked.
really?
What a fire that would have made, huh?
Of course, you had all the equipment to put anything out
Well,
anyways.
them fellas was used to that.
Yeah. Who loaded the lumber on the boat? Was it?
They got lumber loaders up there,
Oh.
and they got men what they call scalers.
Uh-huh,
That scaled every board went on.
uh-huh.
You put the scaler on,
Staler, you said?
yeah, a scaler. Then it would be, a man would write it down on a board. Every board went on, they had a piece of paper, a long piece. The scaler would scale the lumber, 10 foot, 12 foot, 16 foot.
Oh, we'll stop this now, I guess.
What was each board worth?
That's something I don't know.
Yeah,
In them days, the boats carried 190,000. I wish I asked Pa and Grandfather how much they got a trip, but I think they must have got $500 or $600
that's what you said earlier, yeah.
because that's what the grain boats got. The
Uh-huh.
grain boats got $5 a bushel for 1,100 bushels.
Oh, okay.
So from their price, I figured that's about what the lumber boatman got.
Do you know any of the old
And I
canal?
don't know anybody else. There's nobody else alive. Only
Yeah.
I, Garrity, and I
Yeah.
don't think he knew.
Well, he knew a lot of stuff because he wrote a book, right? He wrote a book about the lumber boats.
He knew them.
Yeah, he told me that earlier, yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, he's still living in Tonawanda somewhere.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna write him up and say, my father remembers you,
I'm going to give him one of these pictures.
uh-huh.
He ain't got none of these
He
here.
doesn't have any in his
There's
book.
very few boatmen ever had pictures of the thing.
Yeah.
Well, how'd that happen? Who took the picture?
Uh,
How
as
did
far
it
as I
happen?
know, some fella took the picture when the old man was steering down there, and later years, somebody put it on a calendar to the Onondaga Bank, and somebody got a hold of one of them, give them to Pa. He said, that's your boat, some canaler. He said, here's a picture of your boat on this calendar.
Oh.
Isn't that something?
This was from a calendar?
It was, yeah.
It's a calendar.
Some photographer must have took it.
Yeah.
I take them
Some
up to
moving-
Faye's and
Some
get
paper
copies
company
made.
or somebody.
You can get copies of these made at
Yeah,
Faye's?
that's a copy.
Really?
Yeah, I take them up to Faye's and they make a copy of the original from the calendar he got. on the
Oh,
calendar.
you mean this is a copy from that?
Yeah,
The
Yeah.
Phase
copy.
did?
Yeah,
It's the copy.
Really?
yeah.
Isn't it pretty?
Wow. How much did they charge you for that?
Not much.
Really?
I think it was just $1 or something. Not
You
very
know,
much.
you just get... I'm testing the recorder. I'm about 3 feet away right now. I wonder how it's taping. So, okay, sure it's moving. Okay, so today is the 18th of April, 1990, and I'm talking with Mr. Glen Salisbury on his memories of the canals. And we're looking at now a picture of a boat near Chittenango. What were you telling me about it again? You were describing something on the boat?
This tells about how much they carry and how many trips they make.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you ought to take.
All right, let me take this here. Do you want to read this yourself to me?
No,
or-
you read it.
Okay, so I'm looking at a caption under the picture. It says, lumber boats at Chittenango, New York. Along the Erie Canal at Chittenango soon after sunrise on a lovely June morning around 1910 or 1912. A pair of horse-drawn lumber boats plowed slowly past the Merrill Sewell Cannery on their way from Tonawanda toward Albany. These boats, the Garnett Van Law and the Charlie and Floyd, were run as a double header by Frank Salisbury of Caughdenoy, New York, for more than 20 years. Each boat carried a cargo of about 190,000
Right.
board feet of lumber each trip, and with good fortune they would make about 10 trips each season. Okay.
Yeah, right.
All right. So this, okay, in this picture we see the lumber on the boat next to the, what is that again? A cannery?
That's it, right. Rural sold. It's not down to Chittenango no more.
Okay.
You know, Chittenango's right down here.
Okay.
There it is, right there, the cannery.
All right.
They're out of business, and the old dry dock is right here.
Okay. Do you know? Have you been there lately yourself?
Oh, I've been there since the canal has been gone.
Do you know what they're doing there now? They're working on a project to restore
Oh, I
the old
didn't
dry
know
dock.
that.
Is it possible that you can ever go out, take a ride out there sometime?
We hope to go.
Maybe.
Because you would be very impressed by it. All this area next to the cannery there, which
Where the old
was
dry dock was.
right, has been excavated, and you see the all the woodwork and the stonework where the
Where the dry dock
the
was.
3 sections of the dry dock were.
Uh-huh.
So you should go there. They have a project they're working on it every year.
What do you know about that?
What do you know about that area yourself now?
All I know is just going through it.
Okay, so,
There's an aqueduct right here in some place.
right.
Over the creek that runs into Chittenango Creek that runs into Oneida.
Mhm.
And that's all I know. Of course, that's the last time we done any boat, and my father was in 1935.
1935?
That's a long time ago.
Right.
But that was on the barge. But I was a kid on this canal.
Oh, you were. So you remember that somewhat.
Some of it. They were building the barge when I started. You
Okay.
see, 1910, I'm 87. I think I was about 7.
Mhm. So, you started out as a boy with your father on the boat then?
Yeah, it's vacation time.
Did you help him, like, do some work?
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
What kind of things were you doing for him?
When I got to be 15, I was driving.
Uh-huh.
But before that, I just went for the fun of it again.
How was it, how was
I
it,
like that, the fun.
yeah, why not? Hey, that sounds great.
Yeah, right.
How did they power the boat? Was it steam powered or was it horse drawn?
Horse drawn.
Horse drawn.
Uh-huh.
Did you actually like lead the horses, or were you on the boat steering the boat? Or
Oh, I've done both.
uh-huh.
I drove mules.
Oh, you did. Horses or mules?
Mules.
Uh-huh. How many did they have drawing the boat?
3.
Three?
3 on the train.
And like, how many hours could you work at a time with the horses?
6 hours.
6 hours? And then you let the horses rest too?
No, put them in the boat.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Mules, when they did.
Yeah, mules.
Tell about the mules getting in the boat, Glenn.
Yeah.
Tell about the mules getting in the boat, how they got in the boat.
We had a bridge.
Uh-huh.
So we went to the
Oh,
bridge.
so you laid the bridge across to
On
the...
the tow path up to the boat.
Mhm.
They go up the bridge and right down into the boat.
Oh. Did you have trouble ever getting them to move onto the boat or off the boat?
They were just like dogs. They walked right up like nothing.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting. Yeah.
They got tired though, didn't they? Did
Oh,
some,
they
of
get
them- did
tired.
some want,
6
didn't want to
hours.
work maybe?
6 hours, they get tired and then they come on. They work 24 hours a day.
Right.
Did some refuse to work?
No,
Maybe
no,
they
they
were
never
sick.
refused.
Really?
No, maybe they were sick, maybe.
So you had a team of 3 mules?
And we had 6 mules altogether.
6.
3 on the team with a long even
Ah,
to
okay.
make them even
Right.
out this way. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, so they were one behind the other?
No, no,
No?
no. Right
Oh,
here,
abreast like
right
this?
abreast.
Okay.
And the mule on this side had a long evener. That's what they call it, that evened up. They had a team here, and then he was, but it was a 3 team.
Oh, I see. Okay. So then...
Most canalers did have 3 teams, but some canalers had horses,
Mhm.
but most of them had mules, you know, they're tougher,
Uh-huh.
and they don't spook seed.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. So they could go longer without having to drink or eat?
No.
No?
Yeah, we used to feed them, give them a drink in hot weather.
Oh. Did you tie something around their heads with a bucket or
just fish
something?
it out of the canal and give
Oh.
them a pail, they drink right out of it.
Oh, okay. So you had to let the 3 mules rest after 6 hours, then you put the other 3 on?
Then you took them out after 6 hours rest.
So you had like a compartment somewhere on the boat?
Now, right in the head, you
Mhm.
probably see it. Well, I guess you can't see it on the lower boat.
Okay.
But right here,
Yeah.
every boat them days had a cabin in the front and a cabin in the back. The
Uh-huh.
horses took the front cabin and the owner and his family
Uh-huh.
took the back.
Oh, so did you actually, like, live on the boat while you
Oh,
were?
yeah, sure.
Really?
Sure.
So-
She lived on the boat too.
Really?
Barge canal.
Oh, that's interesting.
During the summertime, I'd go down,
Uh-huh.
summer vacation.
What, may I ask you your name again? Because
Bernadine.
Bernadine.
Bernadine,
Salisbury?
yes.
Okay. So you're his daughter then? right? Okay.
Mhm.
All right. So, getting back, just so we get more information on the
Yeah.
mules, that's kind of interesting. Because there aren't too many people who had that experience, you know.
And then, in the nighttime, we had bow lamps.
Uh-huh. Bow lamps? Okay. That would light the boat as you were...
Like the land on each side.
Right. How many lamps were you talking about?
2 lamps ahead. It was mirrors in that lit up this side, lit up this side.
Oh, I see. Now, what part of the boat were they at? Both on one end of the
No,
boat?
right on the bow of this head boat.
Okay. So was it one boat, or would you have more than one boat tied together?
This is 2 boats tied
Two
together.
boats, okay.
That's what they call a double header.
Okay,
That
like
would
it says
probably
here,
confuse
right.
everybody.
Right, okay, I read that before, you're right.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
You ask all the questions you
Oh,
want.
sure, yeah, you have a lot of interesting information. And this Charlie and Floyd was the one that you worked on with your father?
In the garden with Lulu. Both of them.
Oh, okay. Which one was it that had the living compartment?
Both of them had living
Oh,
quarters.
I see.
The crew lived in the head one, and the captain lived in the back.
Oh, I see. How many other people were on the boat then besides you?
3. Had 2 drivers
Mhm.
and another steersman.
Were they all in your family or were they
Uh,
other people?
Other people.
Uh-huh.
sometimes our family.
So you hired, your dad hired out.
Yeah, that's it.
How did he find these people? I mean, where would you find
Oh,
people?
they all come from Caughdenoy, most of them.
Oh,
They
Cottonwood?
were all boatmen.
Oh, I see. So they have they had experience on other boats? Uh-huh. Do you remember your father saying what his background was like? Like, where did he get his start doing this?
He started boating when he was 16.
When he was 16? Do you remember what year he was born then? Maybe you could figure out when that was. Or
I don't know, he must have been born in 85,
1885?
right around 1885?
probably 85.
So right around the beginning of the century then he started. All right. What made him go into boating, or did he have some other experience with somebody
Well, I guess
else?
he wanted to be a boatman.
He was the first one in your family history that did this
Van
kind
Loo,
of work?
wasn't it? Wasn't it Van Loo?
Yeah, but in the Salisbury family.
Oh, that's all, oh. But didn't, Van Loo went, that's why he went, didn't he?
Yeah.
Who's that now?
Van Loo, his name is in there, Van Loo.
Okay, this
Liew is Van Loo.
okay.
Well, it's really, it ought to be you. They changed it
Yeah.
and made it then L-E-W,
Oh.
but it was L-E-U.
This is Lieu here.
That's just what it's right.
Okay.
Well, this here, my grandfather Van Loo owned these boats, and my father bought them from him. And his father, my great-grandfather, was Lorenzo Van Loo.
Lorenzo Van Loo?
He died on the Clinton ditch. He got drowned
Oh.
on the first canal. There's 3 canals.
Right, okay.
But we call it the Clinton Ditch Canal, as they call it the Grand Canal.
Right.
But we call it Clinton Ditch in the Erie and the barn.
Oh, I see. So your grandfather or great grandfather was it? Which one was it that died on the?
Lorenzo.
He was your great grandfather, Lorenzo Van Loo. Okay, is that like your mother's side of the family, or on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I won't ask you any questions that won't, I don't want to
That's all right.
upset you. Okay.
That's all right. That's all
All
right.
right. It's okay.
Gets emotional.
Yeah. All right. You
That's
just
all right.
you just say whatever you want. I won't press anything
That's all
on
right.
anything. Okay.
That's got nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. So, okay, then we can go back to talking about
Yeah.
this. Seems like you know a lot about this kind of boat because you
Yeah.
worked on it yourself.
Yeah.
Where did you get the lumber from?
Tonawanda.
Oh, Tonawanda.
Yeah.
Okay, so did you, like, during the season, you were always traveling across the state then?
Yeah.
And then what did you do in the wintertime?
Go to school.
Oh, yeah? Where did you stop the boat? Like, I know the water froze over at a certain point.
Down the state bridge.
Yeah, but like Frank and them went back to Cottonwood.
Yeah, yeah.
What did they do in the winter?
Nothing.
Oh,
Really?
spent their
Well,
money.
they
took care
of
Spent
the
their money
mules.
there
Oh,
for
yeah?
the summer.
They
Oh,
had to take care of the mules.
Uh-huh.
Oh, then the mules went with your father, right?
Yeah.
Back to Caughdenoy.
oh, I see.
Back
And you
on the
went to-
farm? Back to Van Loo's farm?
So you had a farm in Cottonwood, the family
Yeah,
farm
Van
was
Loo.
there?
It's there now. It's on that great big hill there.
Uh-huh. I haven't been out there in a while.
Yeah,
but,
the dam
yeah.
is here and you go up the
Yeah.
hill. It's way in the back was a huge farm.
Oh, I see.
Great big farm.
Oh. So every winter then, the family went back to the farm then?
Yeah.
Right, right.
And you went too, and you went to school there?
Oh, yeah.
Went to
Yeah.
school.
Well, I went back in the fall.
Yeah.
School
And then
started.
and Frank and them just stayed home and spent their money. And lived-
Oh, really?
That's
I
how they
wouldn't
lived
say
in the
that.
winter.
Not a
Yeah.
bad way to live.
They had to take
Huh?
care of these
Yeah.
mules.
That's right, you had to put the mules up for the winter
Would you put the
too.
mules on the farm?
Yeah,
Van
that-
Loo's
Oh, yeah.
farm?
That took quite a job to take care of 6 mules.
And Van Loo's
Really?
farm, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you just basically kept them fed during the winter time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I hired somebody down the state bridge That's on down by Kirkville now.
Oh,
The man took care of them, but they took the water out of the canal, and they went down, it was right on the bottom of the canal. They drew out the water.
Yeah.
Where'd they put the water?
Oh, well, the water was in the canal, come from the feeder, Jamesville feeder
oh, okay,
down here. Now I'm all right.
right.
Yeah.
Oh, no, you just, you got a lot of information, you know a lot, that's
Who
great.
did the cooking on the boats?
My mother,
Oh, your mother did the
Oh,
cooking?
you
Yeah?
went-
So you had everything on the boat you needed then? You had all the kitchen utensils and everything?
Then they went and they stopped at the stores. Weren't there stores alongside?
right, every lock had a store.
Uh-huh.
You see, and these locks, they had to buy stuff from the mules, because you're way away from everybody. There was no mills, see?
Right.
And the storekeepers, instead of being like a storekeeper, he was more of a laborer dressed with overalls.
Oh,
He was to bring on the bale, hay,
uh-huh.
and stuff to feed the mills.
So the storekeepers had food not just for the people, but also for the animals?
Yeah,
Right?
that's it.
Oh,
Did they sell clothes too there and needles
And you
and
see,
thread?
a loader we made 1 mile an hour, the light we made 2 miles an hour.
oh,
When the boats
I see.
didn't have nothing in, we made 2 miles an hour. When they were loaded, we made 1 mile an hour.
Wow.
And so the drivers then had to walk 14 miles,
Mhm.
and when the boats were light, they had to walk 24 miles.
Oh,
a
I
day.
see. Okay.
That's a long time, 24, isn't it?
So, yeah, so in other words, you got the lumber, you picked up the lumber in Tonawanda.
They come down from the lakes down in Canada.
Right.
Down on what they call,
Lakers, I think they call the boat
Laker
Lakers.
hookers.
Right.
And why it was called hookers, because they had a convoy sometimes, they cooked 2 or 3 barges back up.
Uh-huh.
But I never seen them. All I seen was just the lumber hookers.
Oh, I see. Okay. So, they brought all the lumber from the Great Lakes and Tonawanda.
And then they unloaded in Albany, and then they distributed it all around the country. Oh, and when I was in Albany, that's the first time I ever seen a horse car with a horse drawn a trolley up to Albany, down to the lumberyard by a horse.
Oh, really?
One horse trolley.
One horse? Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
I've heard of those.
Really? Yeah. That's interesting. That was like right at the base, canal basin in
Yeah,
Albany?
big lumber bays there.
Right.
That's where they unloaded, and then they took it from there all over. But some of the boats went down south, down to New York. But my grandfather and my father would never do that because they lost money, they said.
Oh, really?
You see, they couldn't have their own going down the Hudson. They had to hire a steamboat to take them then, a side wheeler,
Right,
like the Robert Fulton.
right, uh-huh.
And then it was too long to load and unload, so they kept right on from Tonawanda to Albany.
So instead of going on to New York, they just turned around and went back
Yeah.
to Tonawanda? Did
They
they
went
take
to Tonawanda too from New York, that's right.
from Albany?
Yeah, my father and them always just went to Albany.
Right.
But the other ones, some of them went to New York. Some of them liked to go to New York.
Did you take anything from Albany to Tonawanda, any kind of cargo?
Nothing.
No? So you went back empty back to...
That's it, now you got it.
Okay, but you had enough money to make the return
Well, I don't
trip?
know, that's the way the old man and my grandfather figured it out.
Yeah. Well, it must have been profitable, I guess.
But I
Yeah,
made a
sure.
mistake, I should have got from Pa, how much he got
Mhm.
for a load, but I don't. But I figured it out, he must have got 500 or 600 a month.
Yeah.
He could make it, he said he could make 10 trips, but they had to be lucky. Most generally, they made about 8, I think.
Do you remember which month in the spring you started?
Oh, yeah, 6th of May, you had to close up. October the 6th, on account of ice got in the canal. You couldn't go over ice because ice would cut a hole in the
Oh,
boat.
I see. So from May till October every year was the season?
November, well, you might as well say 6th of November, the canal
Right,
closed.
okay.
And it closed, it opened up the 5th of May.
Oh, okay. So, so you can make 8 to 10 trips
Yeah.
during that season.
Yeah.
And lumber was the only cargo, basically, you
That's
dealt
the only
with?
thing they had, but they
Okay.
boated grain out of Buffalo. A lot of
Grain?
the boated.
Okay.
I know a lot of them that boated grain,
Uh-huh.
but we never boated grain, we just
Oh.
boated lumber.
And it was always just these two boats you used?
No,
right?
my father one time had 4 boats.
Oh, really?
The R.C. Campbell and.
R.C. Campbell?
Yeah, and Nichols.
Nichols?
He had 4 of them, both named Nichols, and R.C. But he didn't like that. I think he thought he paid out too much money
Oh.
on them two, so
Yeah.
he just kept the 2 that he could handle.
Do you remember how much one boat would cost like that?
Yeah, $3,000.
Really?
My grandfather had this head boat built, the Garden Lou,
Mm-hmm.
it cost $3,000.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Now, when they, do you remember when they stopped using the Erie Canal and then went to the
Oh, yeah,
barge?
1918.
What happened with your father's boats then?
Oh, they was wore out. They wore out and he let them go.
And what did you do then, like when the barge
Well,
started?
Pa was a carpenter anyhow, so he learned that from his father when he was a kid. So we just boated when they needed somebody. He was friends with everybody. When they needed somebody, he'd go and fill in for them.
Oh, so not his own boats, but somebody else, someone else's?
Somebody else had.
Uh-huh.
And in 1934 and 1925, when he was there, we boated salt off the Cayuga Lake
When was this?
for a company. 1934 and 35,
Okay. Salt?
salt.
Uh-huh.
It was rock salt?
Yeah, rock
Rock
salt.
salt.
And this was where? Cayuga Lake, you said?
Cayuga Lake, they got the rock salt, a place they call Myers, and they took it to New York, and then while there was no more salt boating, a bigger company bought out the Cayuga Rock Salt Company.
Oh, I see. Now, this was,
1934
Right.
and 35.
did you use the, what is it, the Seneca and Cayuga Canal first?
Oh, you use the Seneca Cayuga.
And then you went from there up to the barge canal?
That was a barge canal too, you know.
That's part of the barge canal, you're right.
But after the lumber boating went bad, my
Mhm.
father went boating gravel. He boated gravel for most of these locks on the new canal.
Oh, I see. So he worked basically for the new canal when they were building it?
Yeah, he boated gravel with these boats.
Mm-hmm.
See, the lumber went out in 1950.
Mhm.
That's about the time they started to build the barge canal. And the barge canal was finished in 1980.
Mhm.
But there was parts of the barge canal was built that we boated in. And then we went back in the old Erie, then in the barge, and then back in the Erie. See,
Oh,
they
I
built
see.
parts of it, and what they didn't have built, we used.
Right, that makes sense, yeah. Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's the way they done them days.
Wow. It must have been quite a project to build that new canal back then. I mean,
Oh, I
it's,
guess it was.
because it was wider and deeper than the older
Oh,
one.
the old
Yeah.
canal, yeah. But there's one place down here, what they call Fort Hunter down near Amsterdam. It's got a old canal lock, a barge canal lock, and a barge lock.
Right, I saw that myself
Yeah.
once, yeah.
Yeah,
So you remember that too?
that's the only thing I remember.
Yeah.
And I remember Sahari Creek is down below that.
Oh, yes, go here.
It's an aqueduct back about a half a mile or so back.
Right,
And I don't remember it too good though,
Mhm.
because that's a long time ago.
yeah. That aqueduct, part of that aqueduct is still there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they had
Sahari
a-
Creek, I guess.
Right, I guess they dismantled part
road
of it
took
so
part
there'd
of
be room to use the
They took
stream.
all the lumber out, somebody
Right.
took the lumber.
Yeah. You can find aqueducts still all across the state.
There's one up the Monzumi up there.
Right, yeah.
And with lions. Oh, there's a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them that I don't know by the name. But the biggest one is what's across the Mohawk. The
Uh-huh.
Rexford Flats and the Crescent.
Right, I
Head
remember
of the
those.
16 locks.
You remember crossing over those?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I don't remember the 16 too well, but they had 2 locks there, side by side.
Mm-hmm.
They're about 3 miles apart, you know.
Hmm.
Took about 4 miles to get up that flight.
That was down by Rexford?
Or
Yeah.
below Rexford.
Below
down
there.
Crescent,
Okay.
down Cohoes
Right.
and Waterville Lake.
Yeah, Cohoes is the place that has about 15 locks, one after
16,
another.
that's it,
16, right.
Yeah.
That must have taken quite a long time to
Well,
climb that.
about 3 or 4 hours.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you do? Like, would you on the boat all the time?
Oh, yeah, sure, you get on the boat. They just
Yeah.
uncouple them, and they hire a tilleman. He's a steersman.
Uh-huh.
And extra horses, they took you out.
Oh, I see.
That's it. When you got to the
Yeah.
top, you used your own horses, went on. But when you got to Rexford, you went across that when the load is all. There's a
Right.
lock on the other side of Rexford, right to the bottom.
Mm-hmm. On the north side?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember going through the Waylocks too?
Waylocks down here in Syracuse.
Well, I guess there were more than one in the state at the time they used the canal.
There's a lot of locks.
Right. I mean, what I mean by the Waylock is the one here, for example, is where the boats would pull
Oh, they-
into this section where they would
To be
weigh the
weighed?
boat.
Oh, that's
Right.
before my time.
Oh, you don't.
The canal was free.
Right.
by
That's
the time
true.
we got started.
You're right. That's true.
Even my father, I think.
You're right. I think it was the 1880s they stopped
Yeah.
using those.
Yeah.
But so you wouldn't remember
Did you know
those.
that they got a tunnel that leads right down the Erie Boulevard and dumps it on the Dogger Creek, the water?
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
That's what I heard when I was.
Really? Yeah. So there are still remains of the old Erie underneath the Erie Boulevard. There. Huh.
It must be right alongside of the Erie Boulevard,
Yeah.
because property was on canal property. That's what I think. I ain't got no idea, but I'm just thinking.
Yeah. I wonder if your father would remember, if you recall your father talking about experiences like the canal break they had back
Oh,
in
yeah,
1907.
1912, they had the break there.
Where was that now?
1912. The creek, on the Dogger Creek, right there, side of West Street. The canal fell in.
Oh, okay. I think that was
Fell right
19.
down in the creek.
Yeah, I think that was 1907.
Yeah,
that
he
actually
knew
happened. Yeah.
1912, he said.
Oh, he said 1912.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Okay. And I wonder if there are any other stories you remember him or your grandfather telling you about the canal.
I guess they ain't much to tell about it,
Mhm.
only they, you know about a towpath. You know about a towpath bridge, don't you?
Right.
You know how they got over that?
Why don't you explain that?
All right.
Yeah.
Here's a towpath.
Uh-huh.
Here's a towpath over here.
Right.
So they got this bridge coming across. So you went up and under here, and around, and over and around there.
Okay.
And when you come up this way, you went over and around on the towpath again.
Okay. It probably sounds like a bridge I've seen over by the park, maybe in DeWitt. They have a canal bridge over
That's
there.
it.
Have you seen that yourself?
No, I never seen it, but that's it.
Okay.
That's a towpath bridge.
Yeah.
they probably got.
Okay. So occasionally the towpath would switch from the north side to the south side and back
Yeah.
like that. Okay. Do you remember what the other side of the canal path was for?
Yeah, one was a heel path,
Right.
and one was a towpath.
Okay.
Same thing.
That's another thing, you're talking about the break in the canal. I know that occasionally they had other parts of the canal that would have some kind of minor damage to, and they'd lose water or they'd have floods
Oh,
and stuff
yeah.
like that.
Well,
Yeah.
one time down on the lower 60-mile level, they had a break and the boat went right out in the lot. Right out of the canal, right out
Oh,
in the
really?
lot.
What did it get water, what do they call, landlocked then? I mean, it got on
Yeah,
in the land?
they had the guard gates they put up.
Oh, I
Stopped
see.
it. And then they repaired that, and then they unloaded the boat, and they hired a house mover, and he put the boat back in the canal.
Oh, wow. This is your father's boat that happened?
No, that didn't
Oh.
happen, it was somebody else.
But you remember that story, though?
Yeah, I remember that.
That's interesting, because I've heard that occasionally they had
Yeah.
even animals, maybe beavers,
But
even
in the barge
damaging.
canal,
Yeah.
it went out at Bushnell's Base. They had, that went right out on the new canal.
Oh, that's what I've heard,
And they had
yeah.
a flume that built. It was about just wide enough for one of these canal boats. They unhooked it. They had a dickey engine down here with a cable that drawn them up through this flue.
Oh,
Right
Yeah.
over the top. They
Uh-huh.
built it right, oh, it must have been up there 40 or 50 feet high.
oh, wow. That's interesting, yeah.
And then they built this new one.
Yeah.
This new one never went bad.
Uh-huh.
They stayed good.
Oh, the barge canal?
Yeah, this was in the barn.
Yeah, so they haven't had any accidents, other than that one time at Bushnell's Basin, huh?
That's right.
Yeah.
Just that one time.
I see. Uh-huh. So, okay, so you actually traveled yourself then across the state. Do you remember any interesting towns along the way that you
Well,
had
they were all
experiences in?
interested
Yeah.
in it. Utica, we had a sick mule. We got some veterinary in there, that's all.
Uh-huh.
Syracuse, I knew that. Rochester, I knew that.
Yeah.
We
Okay.
boated stone out of Rochester,
Stone?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Quarries
Quarries over there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here's what happened. You see, this man we worked for, at that time, he had boats in a tug. He went to work for this contractor. This contractor put the stone on the outside of the canal down below Fairport to Bushnell's Basin. And then the next year, we went down in the Mohawk and put wash wall, what they should have put in the creek. Just when the water comes through the dam, it hits the stone. They sit in the apron, wears the concrete out, they fill that all full of stone. We worked there all summer.
What was that word you used? Wash? What?
What wash wall it was.
Wash
The stone,
wall?
it puts in there, and when the water hits the stone instead of the concrete.
Oh, I see.
That's what happened to Sahari Creek in the road. They didn't put no wash wall in there that washed the foundation all out. That must have been a lot of water out of that creek, but I don't remember it.
Well, they said that, you mean the accident they had with the
Just lately
thruway?
with the thruway.
Right,
They
they,
didn't put no wash wall down
Right.
there for the water to hit that washed all the concrete out.
right.
You wouldn't think it would happen, would you?
I know, but apparently when the state built that thruway, they didn't do a very good job.
But somebody didn't put the
Mm.
wash wall.
They
Right.
didn't
Probably
know.
the contractor's done a good job, but somebody was negligent and they didn't.
They didn't know the history of
They
the,
didn't know, Ron.
area.
They didn't know.
Right.
Yeah, well,
Somebody,
maybe.
it was, yeah, they
Right.
didn't.
Well, they had trouble in the Clinton ditch with Sahari Creek. They had a guard gate built up, but then the water would come up right over the guard gate.
Wow.
And then when the canalers come up with these little boats,
Uh-huh.
they had a lot of accidents and a
Uh-huh.
lot of damage. But when they built the Erie, they put a viaduct across it. You've seen that.
Right.
They put that across. And then, I never knew they had any trouble.
I don't think they did on the second Erie
Oh,
Canal. No.
No, because they had the
Right.
viaduct.
And then after the barge canal was built, of course, the
They
Mohawk
put that in
was,
the Mohawk.
right, part of it.
That's the poorest thing that ever happened. I think that's the poorest canal of all of them,
Really?
because we had a lot of trouble with high water. Did you know that the water in the Mohawk, most of it is in the Hudson?
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
No.
most of that is Hudson River. The water
Okay.
comes from the Mohawk.
Did you have trouble going west or east on the Mohawk? You said something about you had trouble
It
on there?
didn't make any difference either
No?
way you go where they had high water.
Oh.
But I guess they probably got some of that stopped now.
Mhm.
But they used to have high water, the water would, Fort Plain Lock is a barge canal. The water
Right.
used to come right over the top of it.
You're talking about the barge canal now?
Yeah, yeah,
I didn't know that, no.
well.
They must have corrected that problem by now, though.
I don't know, but they kept it quiet. anyhow.
Really? Do you remember when that was happening? Like, what years are you talking about?
Well, it happened, 1932, I see that
Uh-huh.
happened. But it happened a lot of other times besides that.
That's interesting, yeah.
You know, high water, used to get up to high barges, couldn't get none of the bridges.
Uh-huh. Wow.
Oh, my.
That must have been a different experience, though, when you were on the Mohawk than as opposed to, say, the other barge canal west of there, right? Because of the width of the
They had
river?
trouble up here too on the Seneca.
Uh-huh,
All that water comes down too, they had trouble. But it didn't ever washed anything out.
Hmm.
Around Baldwinsville, they had to stop.
uh-huh.
Swift water, I'll tell you.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
Because of the Seneca River?
yeah,
That's right, because part of that is canalized too.
yeah. And they used to come down the Clyde River too.
Mm-hmm.
You see, Eight Mays Point is up there, I don't know whether you know
Right,
that.
I know where that is.
All that water comes down out of there too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's interesting.
It drains all of central New York, I guess.
Wow. Yeah, I know, because in the springtime you can have a lot of problems with runoff too from, like, well, that's what Schoharie Creek
Yeah, right.
happened like that, yeah. I just want to ask you again about this picture, this factory there.
That's a cannon.
Yeah, I think they may be working on a project there right now to restore at least some of the old buildings that were around the dry dock.
Maybe.
You know, yeah, so it might be interesting for you to go there sometime and look that over. And, so, all right, so basically you were saying that every winter you went back home.
Back
all right?
Cottonwood.
Okay.
Well, after the canal opened, we lived in Salvi, we lived in Syracuse, then I come here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so it was your father, your mother, you, any other family members that were on the boat during these
Oh
trips?
yeah, my Uncle Charlie Beebe and my mother's sister, they worked for my grandfather. My father and his daughter worked on these boats, and Charlie Beebe and his wife worked on here. But my father had an uncle, Jay Salisbury, was an Erie Canal boatman.
J. Salisbury?
J-A-Y.
Oh, okay.
And then my father had his brother working for him, Oily Salisbury,
What was his first name?
O-R-L-A, Orla.
O-R-L-A?
Orla.
Orla, okay.
Yeah. He worked on here.
Uh-huh. On the Erie Canal?
Yeah, drove right on these boats right here.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yeah.
So really, you had quite a number of family members in the past working on this.
Yeah.
That's
What'd you do
interesting.
when it rained?
What do you mean? You stayed right out in it. You put your slicker on, your boots, and steered the boats. You throw the slicker off and the boots to the driver, and he put them on.
And
What-
the mules,
The
did they go
mule stayed
through?
right out.
Could you walk on the,
They're tough.
it wasn't soggy or muddy?
No, the towpath was better than this street out here.
Really?
Okay,
It
what's
was-
it made of?
Yeah,
Made out of dirt.
but it was hard packed
Yeah,
all the time?
hard packed liver, gravel. Better than the roads that's out here now.
Gravel? Oh,
Was it like the Erie Canal Park over here from DeWitt going east?
That part of it, you see the towpath.
Yeah, was it like that, sort
Just
of
like
with the
that.
fine
Fine,
stones?
good.
Who
That's
fixed
good
it?
stuff.
Who fixed
Spot's
the
still
towpath?
there.
Glenn, who
Well, you
fixed
know,
it?
there was two locks in Syracuse,
Right.
Lighton, upper and lower Lighton. Then you went all the way through up to Gears Lock.
Right, that's where I was telling you when I came in here that I grew up near that year lock.
Oh, up in
myself.
Salvi?
Yeah.
Well, we lived in Salvi on Lamont Avenue.
Oh, okay, I know where that is. East
I
Salvi.
went one winter to the school up there.
Uh-huh. The gear school or the
Oh,
Salvi?
Salvi School.
Okay.
I went to a guy named Carson.
Uh-huh.
He said, "What do you want to know?" I said, "I think I'll take a little shop." Because I'd been all over this other
Yeah.
stuff. I was far advanced, I guess, more than the other kids. So I took shop.
Mm-hmm. You rem-
Very interesting. Then when I went down the city, they wasn't up to date like Salvi.
Oh, I see.
Salvi was far up to date.
You-
I had an uncle who was on the police force in Salvi.
Oh, I see.
You must have knew him, Clyde Salisbury.
I don't remember him myself. I might have been too young to remember
Maybe.
that at the time. But you were mentioning you knew Gear's lock. You remember that lock?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And
There used to be a lock store right on that side of the towpath.
uh-huh.
Oh, did you know that they had salt all up and down on the other side? Between Gearlock and Salvi, they had salt shakes in there.
Salt
They
sheds?
used to boat salt out of there. I never did, but I know other people
Right,
did.
I've heard about that, yeah.
Yeah. Dick Wendell, he boated, and the fella Annis.
Wait, Dick?
The Annis boated up there. Alvin Annis boated salt from Salvi to New York. And,
Oh, excuse me, his name was Annis,
yeah,
and the other one was Dick,
yeah, let me see,
I forgot.
yeah.
Well, that's okay, I thought you
Now we
remembered
get
the
it
name.
again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Well, sometimes it helps to get these names, because from that you learn other things
Yeah.
Definitely.
from what happened
Yeah.
then.
Well, they used to boat salt over here from Liverpool, but
Mhm.
that was fading out too.
Right, because they had the Oswego Canal that ran,
Yeah.
did you ever run the barge, your boats up the Oswego Canal?
No, we never done that.
Never did that, uh-huh.
But I've been up there on the barn,
Uh-huh,
but never on, my father and my grandfather was a great believer. They wanted the money. They
Yeah.
didn't fool around, and they were go-getters, and they
yeah,
were hard men to work
yeah,
for.
yeah. Well, I guess that they knew what they were doing, right? Because they were able to spend the winters and not have to worry about working. Some people had to find winter jobs,
Yeah.
you know, to keep themselves going.
Well, sometimes they used to do a little something, but not
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. Some of them, I thought worked on the ice harvesting too.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
sometimes my father used to go up and work on the ice on
Yeah.
Oneida Lake. But then that went out in 1918, they quit boating ice. Did you know they boated ice from Oneida Lake down on State Street?
Oh, really?
They got a big shed down there, candle company bought it. They used to store the ice in there.
Mm-hmm.
And all along the Hudson River used to be full of ice houses.
Wow. Ice
The
house.
biggest buildings you ever seen.
Wow.
Regular palaces, chock full of ice.
Of course, they had to probably ship
They used
them
to boat
down
it
to
to
New
New
York,
York.
where they had more people that needed it. Yeah.
And then when the refrigerators come, that was all out.
Right. Yeah.
That was all over with.
So,
Some fellas used to say that they boated ice from Oneida Lake to New York City. But I don't know whether that was so or not. Maybe they did,
Yeah.
maybe they didn't.
well, they had the Champlain Canal north of Albany. That maybe they got ice from
Up above
up
there.
above there, like Lake
Probably
Champlain.
they did.
Yeah. But who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe it was from Oneida Lake too.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I heard that.
Well, that's another thing I was going to ask you. When the barge canal was built, you know, when you come into Oneida Lake from the east to Sylvan Beach area, you have to use the lake until you get to Brewerton, right?
Yeah.
Some people said that they had some stormy weather sometimes on the lake. Did you ever have any experiences like that, crossing the lake?
Well, not really.
No.
Because canalers were too smart. Most of them tied up when the weather was bad. You got the weather report. You had a tower at Brewer and a tower here.
But what lake did we cross that time was the storm?
Oh, that was Lake Erie.
Oh, yeah, Lake Erie. Here it was like this. I'll never forget. This would go down like this, and our barge would go up. And down and like this, up and down, up and down.
We had big
And it was
canal barges.
Black,
And we had an
blackout.
ocean going taut.
It was during the night.
We used to take sulfur up
And rain
to
came
Columbus,
down.
Ohio.
Rain came down, I could see there, the little pot we used to use. My mother was standing here terrified. And when it went like this, the pot would go like that. When it came down like this, the pot would come down like that.
You mean the boat?
Yeah, the boat would go up and down like that. Then
Okay.
the pot would go this way and go across the
You mean the
floor.
front end of the boat go up in the air while the back end will go down?
Like this.
Okay.
Up and down,
Wow.
all flat. Like just, like a roller coaster, wasn't it?
Anybody get sick? Sometimes people got sick when the boats were like that.
I don't think
really?
so.
Really?
I don't
Get
think
sick.
them two got sick.
We didn't get
did
sick during
Do you
the
remember
storm.
when that was? How long ago?
1930.
1930.
Really?
My wife said something like that. I'll never forget that. Boy, my mother was terrified. And I just kept looking at the pot and laughing. I mean, laughing inside. I thought it was so funny to see it.
Oh, sure. You wouldn't forget something like that.
But you know, it passed after a while, but it was scary.
I imagine
You know,
so.
up and down like that. I got sick once on the lake. I was out in the lake, I could see the water go up like this, like this. I
Uh-huh.
kept watching up and down, up and down. Once I got sick. I'll never
Wow.
forget that.
Oh,
That was going from Cleveland to Buffalo?
Where, that was on the lake, wasn't it?
Yeah.
yeah, on
On
the
the
island.
lake.
So you had another story, or you gonna just?
Yeah, these mules, you didn't need no watch or time. When it got time to quit, they'd go, and then they'd answer in the boat, and that would be the time to change.
So they kind of knew when it was 6
They
hours
knew
was
when
up?
the time was up.
That's-
And another thing, the last 6 hours, going up or down, we put out the other 3 horses, never put these in. And would them 6 mules dig in just like dogs, and almost just as fast as they could go because they knew they were pretty near done. The same way when they went up Cottonwood Creek, you jump out them 6 mules on the 3 boats, double them up. Why, you never see anything work like that.
Wow.
So you see, animals is not too stupid.
No.
They know.
So when you're saying that when they were finished with their shift,
Yeah,
they would rush onto the boat
yeah.
to get their food, or?
Yeah, they would. Yeah, going along natural. But when we got pretty near to the end,
Yeah.
the last 6 hours, that we'll say I was driving 6 hours.
Oh,
They wouldn't change my horses. I'd keep them out. They'd
Uh-huh.
take your horses out, and then we'd have 6 horses out. And would them 6 horses work hard to get to the end so they wouldn't have to work anymore?
oh, I
So they
see.
could rest while they were loading the boats
Oh,
or unloading them.
They
Wow.
knew, didn't they?
yeah.
Yeah, they knew.
They knew.
But the horses that were resting, when they were ready to start their shift,
That's
did they
it.
give you trouble getting off the boat? No?
Oh, no.
No?
They were just like cats. They could
Yeah.
climb anything. Mules is more short-footed than horses.
Uh-huh.
Oh, no.
Oh,
You didn't have any horses, did you, Glenn?
No, we always had
Oh, just the mules.
And they always hired farm boys. My father and my grandfather. You know why? Because they knew stock how to take care of the horses. And if anything would happen, they'd just stop the tow line and go up and take a hold of them in the head.
oh, I see.
So, so they wouldn't panic.
Mhm.
Fire or anything along the canal, they panic. They push one another and they go in the river. They go in the canal and get drowned. My father never lost a mule. Or
You don't have to go
Wait, let me stop this for a minute. Well,
So you went just twice as fast when you had a tug.
on the barge canal, you went as
Well,
twice
well,
as fast?
Even on this, you see, it used to take 2 miles light. When you were loaded, the tug would draw you 2 miles loaded and 4 miles light. It'd take you twice as fast. They had a lot of tugs on this canal, on the Erie. My grandfather had one, but that's another story.
So when you worked on the barge canal, your boats were drawn by the tugs?
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely. The
No more
towpath
animals.
was all gone, no more
Okay.
towpath.
Right.
That was an improvement. But the old timers, they didn't like the barge canal, you know. They liked it where it was towed by mules.
Oh, I see. Because
So
they,
most of
Yeah,
them
why
quit.
is that? Why was that, Glenn?
Well, I think, like I told you today, every 50 miles a tug you had to coal her up. And they didn't like that riding the coal.
you had to coal it up? Oh,
Oh,
they
yeah,
loaded with
you
coal.
gotta have coal to make steam
Right,
on a tug.
right.
They didn't like that. They didn't like that extra cost or something.
Oh,
Oh.
so the boats that you used on the old Erie, you could still use for a while on the new
Oh, yeah,
barge
you could use them till they wore out.
until they wore out. And then you had to go to what,
Then I
steam powered?
Then you went to barge canal boats,
Right.
wider and bigger.
That's after your father stopped
Yeah.
working.
They
though.
carry 200 ton, and the other was carrying about 500.
Oh, I
Barge
see.
canal boat, just twice as much.
So you could make more trips than on the barge every year than you could on the
I
Erie?
don't know
huh?
about that.
No?
Maybe, yeah, maybe you could.
Uh-huh.
It all become companies. It all become companies then.
Oh, I
Not
see.
individuals, most of them. The individuals, some of them stuck, but most of them quit.
So your father on the barge canal worked for a company and not himself?
Yeah, he did. And then later years, we just go on when somebody needed somebody.
Mm-hmm.
When other times we'd be doing carpenter work.
But these two boats here he owned?
He owned. My grandfather had them built, and my father bought them from my grandfather. When my grandfather retired, about 50 years old, he retired and went on the farm.
Oh, I see.
But Lorenzo Ballou was his father, my great-grandfather. He's dead. He got drowned on the Clinton Ditch some way.
Oh.
38 years
Right.
old, he got drowned.
So your family lived in the Caughdenoy area most of the...
Did you know everybody in Caughdenoy was related